I never personally got robbed. I don't know why. But if you looked robbable, they would rob you. Just don't look robbable.
Whenever you're walking around, if you see a guy that's acting suspicious, just look at him and say hi, and he'll realize that you know him. Like, even if he is about to rob you, if he knows that you see him, then he most likely won't, and you don't have any problems. You hear a lot of stories. There's a lot of superstition in Africa. They believe snakes are the devil. They hate snakes, like despise snakes. If they see one, they'll kill one. I mean, it makes sense. They're very poisonous. The snakes there, like spitting cobras and normal cobras, black mambas and stuff like that. So, I mean, it makes sense that if they're in the house, they'll kill them. But if they see a snake ever, they'll try to kill it because they hate it with a passion. They think it's the devil because they read the Bible a lot and they believe the story of Adam and Eve, and they think that Satan actually is a snake. Also, there's a lot of witch doctors, so don't get yourself mixed up in that, because that's weird. I actually taught some. They're really nice, but they believe in black magic and voodoo and stuff like that. They do natural medicines and stuff, and they chant over you. And if you go there, just get ready for the stories, because you're not going to believe most of them, but they're true. And so they try to stay away from you, but happy birthday.
I'll take a pause while they're singing happy birthday. That's really funny. Hand the camera over.
Everything. All bushes want to kill you. All trees want to kill you. There's so many thorns and spikes, and it's insane. There's those goat heads. You know the goat head little tiny ones that get in your bike tires? There's those, and then there's ones that are like 50 times bigger, like this big, and they're like that long needles, and they'll get in your shoes and they'll just, the worst. It's like walking on nails. So there was this elephant on the side of the road. We were in a nature reserve. It's called Kruger National Park. And we were driving, and the other missionaries, they wanted to take pictures. And I was driving, so we stopped on the road, and he came out of the trees. It's about 10 feet away from the vehicle, and they're like, stay there. And I was like, I don't want to, because first of all, elephants, when they feel threatened, they start flapping their ears. And he was doing that, and I was like, okay, that's not a good sign. And then he started like stepping back, and then he started running forward, and I just took off. They're like, what? Why? And I was like, because I'm not explaining to the mission president why the vehicle's damaged and why we're probably dead. Driving there is pretty crazy. I mean, a lot of people are pretty crazy when it comes to driving. I wouldn't say they're bad drivers. I mean, there's a lot less accidents than I thought there were going to be, but driving's pretty crazy. There's so many speed bumps there. They're not needed. They're everywhere, and it's not good. They'll have 3 speed bumps and then a stop sign, and then once you get through the intersection, 3 more speed bumps, and then rumble strips. When you first get on a taxi, you're going to be scared to death. Because taxi drivers are not the best drivers, and they're so insane. Because the more people they pick up, the more people they get money from, and the faster they do it, the faster they get money, and the more money they get. So you think you're gonna die, but I never died, so that was good. And I took taxis a lot on the mission. There's like these van ones that sometimes will fit 20 people in. Most of the time it's only 15 or so, but they fit like 20, 25 people in. You'll have fun if you go there, that's for sure. And there's this thing called half scope, which is basically half of any animal's head. And they boil it and then they fry it, and like there's the brains and the tongue and the eyeballs. And I was like, well, I mean, you only get to try it once. I would have been pretty disappointed coming home from Africa and not have tried all the foods. Cow heels, oxtail. And oxtail's really good, by the way. It tastes like brisket. So it's got like this thick, hard cartilage through the middle, but all the rest of it's really nice. I mean, there's also worms there that you eat. They're called mopani worms. They're like this big, like that big. And they have spikes on them. And they dry them, and then you just take them and soak them in water and then boil them, and then you can fry them. And they're actually really good. When eating the food, you have to watch out for worms. Anything that you can buy inside a shop is usually okay. Anything that's deep fried, anything that's cooked is usually okay. But there's the people that take sticks and put meat on it and then cook it on the side of the road and then sell it. Probably not the best thing to eat. Obviously you're gonna see the people from Africa eating it, but they're used to it. They've lived there their whole lives. And obviously there's the normal foods that they eat, like chicken feet and mohoru, which is the intestines. But the normal things are things like corn, but it's ground down into maize meal. Pop is like the main source of food. Like they eat rice sometimes. It's kind of like in Asia, they have a lot of rice, but in Africa, they have a lot of pop, which is their main source of starch and their main source of any kind of vegetable. It's kind of like mashed potatoes, but the consistency of Play-Doh. But it's really good. It tastes like corn, kind of, mixed with rice. So they eat that with every meal. Watch out, because you'll probably get fat if you eat a lot of it. They have a lot of beef stew. They do a lot of chicken. And one of my favorite foods was spasho or kota. And it was basically a quarter piece of a loaf of bread with the inside cut out, and then they put fries, which fries are called chips there, and they put that in there with like a sausage on top and bologna and cheese, and then they pour sauce all over it, and then they put the inside of the bread, they toast it and then put it back on top, and it's insanely good. It's very bad for you, but taste is everything. I didn't try all the foods. They do serve a meal called chicken intestines, and I did not want to try that. It looks like noodles, because I mean, they're chicken intestines. In the malls and stuff, they have like Indians that sell stuff, like Indians from India. And so I bought a taser once for fun. And so we just go around tasing each other. But I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just, you gotta feel what a taser felt like. No matter what, they'll always try to help you. They love you to death, even though they don't know you. They're always grateful. Whenever they invite you to the house, they'll always feed you. Sometimes it's not good, because sometimes you meet like 5 new people a day, and so you get fed a lot. They're generally a nice people. They love people, and they'll always try to help you. Some missionaries, they would be speaking English, and a lot of people there don't know a lot of English, and they know the simple terms. It's more of just a simple talk. They don't know very much English because they know 4 or 5 other languages. So there's Xhosa, Zulu, Setswana, Tswana, which is basically like a slang version of Setswana. There is Sepedi, Kilubedu, Swahili. If you ever heard The Lion King, a lot of it is Swahili when they speak the different language. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones. I know little pieces of all, and since I've been home, I've forgotten them because English has taken over again. When I was in Botswana for 3 months, I did learn a lot of Setswana. There's a lot of different phrases. A lot of them clash together because it was basically made from different tribes there that grew over time, so they just kind of combined it. Like sometimes Deep Tswana is more closely related to Zulu than Tswana is, and Tswana is more closely related to Sepedi. Sepedi is an interesting language. Same with Kilubedu, which is just a more slang version of Sepedi, which is more slang version of Tswana. In Namibia, there was the full clicking languages where they didn't really use any words. It was just all clicks. But I never went to Namibia, but I was companions with some that went to Namibia. So that was fun. Culture shock, the food, and the barbed wire fences around every house. Well, razor wire fences and electric fences. They'll have tall fences with spikes on them, brick walls with glass on them, because a lot of people do rob houses. Also, another culture shock would probably be part of the culture there is a lot of women don't wear clothing. That was kind of shocking at first, but after a while you get used to it. It's natural. There's no problem with it. It's just everyday life. They call them sangomas there. If you ever want to go to South Africa, I would suggest going to Witbank or Kwagu. Those are 2 of my favorite places. They're right next to each other, but Witbank's a city. KG, which we call it, was more of a township/village area. The people there, they're Zulus. If you make them mad, they will ruin your life, but they're some of the best people when you get to know them. You'll love them forever and ever and ever. It's a lot different than a lot of Americans think. Just get ready for that culture shock. And I mean, it's not too shocking, it's more of just like an eye-opening thing. So a lot of people here in America think that animals are just roaming through the streets. There are no animals roaming around the cities or villages or any of that, unless you go to certain specific places. They have a lot of game areas, which is fenced off, keeps the animals in. And there's a place up in Kasane, which is the very top of Botswana, up by Zimbabwe, I think, by Victoria Falls. And it was basically in a big nature reserve, so they would talk to you before you went there about like the monkeys and stuff like that. Don't leave your windows open. If there's an elephant chasing you, like, make sure you get away. And if you're ever gonna go to Kruger, wait and stay in South Africa for about 6 months. Some said it was 9 months, some said it was 8, some said it was 6, and you can get the discount because then you're a citizen. And it's like a lot. It's like 500 rand to get in compared to 90 rand because they know tourists have money. If you're gonna fly 20 hours to Africa, then you have money. To all the people that know me, I love you. You guys were awesome. You guys were basically my family when I was over there. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you have a wonderful life. I know things are hard over there sometimes, but I mean, if you push through and you follow the gospel of Jesus Christ and keep the commandments, you'll be watched over and you'll be protected. You won't have any problems in the future. I love you.